R.J. Podeschi, and I'm an associate professor of information systems, and I also serve as the chair of the Tabor School of Business. I first came to Millikin in the spring sometime in 1998. So I came here as a recruit looking for schools to attend, came and visited campus, walked around, did the same types of things students do today during recruiting visits, fell in love with the place and realized that I wanted to spend the next 4 years here as a student. So I guess we're over 20 years now. One of the things I first believe is that all the students that come here should be treated like adults. And so I like to treat students in the classroom like adults. And I try to make it as much as a workplace environment as you possibly can, right, within a classroom. But my philosophy has always been that learning is a lot like riding a bicycle. You might get to see pictures of a bicycle to begin with, maybe read books of a bicycle, and we do the same things in class, right? We read about it and we talk about it, but sooner or later we have to get on the bike. And you get a chance to practice. And so I do that in my classes with labs that are sometimes prescriptive and sometimes give a little bit of leeway, but it gives hands-on experience. But ultimately, what I believe is the best part is when students get to ride the bike on their own. And if you will, I get to give the kind of proverbial shove, right? And they start pedaling on their own and they might fall, and that's okay. But at the end, I see that where performance learning is at Millikin, where students are riding the bike on their own at the end of a course or when they graduate, and I'm sitting there watching, which is probably the most fulfilling part.
As an IS graduate, I can attest to that, that there is indeed a shove.
There's a shove, and you probably will skid your knee, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of the learning process.
Exactly.
It definitely embodies performance learning here at Millikin. Yep. What is your favorite thing about being a professor?
I probably enjoy my one-on-one interactions with students the most. And that probably leads into another question in there too, but that's where I feel like I can support students the most too, is by working with them one-on-one. Sure, I can be up in front of a classroom and demonstrating things and carrying on a conversational type lecture style, but at the end, I love it when students are in this lab and they're working through a problem, they're stuck, and they need someone to coach it through it. And so I really enjoy the one-on-one interactions with students in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom. MU Performance Consulting is a student-run IT consulting venture, and students provide technical services to both the campus community and also the Decatur community on a variety of technical projects. So examples of these include web hosting and design. Other examples include doing data analysis, data transformation, database type work, and then we've also done some network consulting for clients as well in the past. Student-run ventures, I believe, also build confidence for students. There's no textbook in these experiences, right? You're given a problem and you've got to figure out how to solve it with the tools that you have previously learned or the experiences you bring in. So I think those pieces, the class is completely off script, right? And so they're solving problems, and I'm likely solving the problems with them at the same time. And so those are building their resume now instead of after they graduate. So I think that's a key differentiator with our student-run ventures is students are doing some of the work that they're going to be expected to do when they get hired for their first job.
Through your teaching, what is the most important trait you see in your students that leads to their success in the classroom and in the real world?
I think the first one is to have curiosity, to be curious and try to ask the question of why technology works the way it does, and be willing to take it apart and be willing to try to put it back together.
And what is one thing you do to assist your student success?
It's really the one-on-one coaching and mentoring and interactions with students that I feel really helps push them along. It's one thing to give directions and do a demonstration in class and say, all right, well, here's this lab to go work on for the next 2 weeks. And then over the course of those next 2 weeks, there are going to be struggles and there are going to be problems, and I anticipate those. But I want students to be curious and reach out and ask, because they need to realize that they can't solve those problems on their own, and they need to go out and ask and do research and twiddle a little bit, right? Sometimes you got to get away from the step 1 through 10 and say, all right, well, what happens if I try step 3.5 that isn't written down, and let me see what happens. So you got to be able to do that. This has been unique being interviewed by students, right? I've been interviewed by students before for like assignments and like career projects and that type of stuff.